Good morning. Today we are going to look at the fascinating history of early timekeeping devices, tracing our journey from tracking shadows to the invention of complex mechanical gears. Let's begin with one of the earliest tools, the sundial. Sundials operate on a remarkably simple premise, using a central marker to cast a shadow that moves across a surface as the sun traverses the sky. While incredibly innovative, tracking shadows had one glaring limitation. You might assume cloud cover was the primary issue, and while clouds did cause temporary interruptions, the devices were rendered entirely non-functional during the night. Furthermore, early sundials weren't the portable pocket watches we think of today. Some historians suggest their overall size made them difficult to move, but it was actually their immense weight, often being carved from solid blocks of stone, that anchored them to a single location. To solve the visibility issue, the ancient Egyptians developed the water clock, or clepsydra. It was essentially a large stone basin with a small aperture at the base. As the liquid slowly escaped, observers would look at markings engraved on the interior wall. It's important to note that these lines didn't measure the total volume of water lost, but rather indicated the level of the water that was still inside the vessel. The main benefit of the water clock was its continuous operation, indoors or out. However, they weren't perfect. The speed at which the liquid dripped wasn't entirely constant. While the purity of the water was initially blamed for this inconsistency, engineers later realized that a drop in temperature would cause the water to increase in density, slowing the flow rate considerably. Moving into the medieval period, we see the rise of mechanical timekeepers. Interestingly, the push for these complex machines didn't actually originate from merchants or the military, as is often believed. Instead, the demand arose from monasteries. The monks living in these religious communities required a rigid, bell-driven schedule to regulate their strict prayer times. These early mechanical clocks lacked faces or hands. They simply struck bells using a system of falling weights. They were massive iron structures, heavily funded by city councils and installed in prominent town squares. The goal wasn't just to display civic pride, but to enforce a new culture of punctuality among the growing urban workforce, ensuring everyone started their shifts at the exact same moment. A massive leap forward occurred in 1656 when the Dutch scientist Christian Huygens invented the pendulum clock. By regulating the gears with a swinging weight, his design reduced the daily error from an average of 15 minutes down to mere seconds. This unprecedented accuracy completely transformed timekeeping. This precision was revolutionary for the scientific community. While biologists found little use for it initially, it was an absolutely essential tool for astronomy, allowing researchers to track the movements of celestial bodies with exact precision. Despite this triumph, the pendulum had a fatal flaw. It demanded absolute stability. You could easily mount one on a brick wall, but if you attempted to use one on a ship, the rolling motion of the ocean waves would immediately disrupt the swinging mechanism, rendering it completely useless for global navigation. In conclusion, the evolution of these devices did more than just measure hours. It restructured human existence. We transitioned from living organically according to seasonal and solar cycles to being governed by the ticking of a machine. This shift didn't just alter our global economy. Sociologists argue it profoundly impacted human psychology, creating a constant, artificial sense of urgency that we still live with today.